All right, so I've got an angry rant today, and I'm sorry about that, but we just had this hurricane come through, and it went pretty much straight up from the Gulf, and it went through Georgia and a little bit of South Carolina and North Carolina, and through Tennessee. And a lot of folks give me a hard time about preparing and being a prepper. I'm just trying to live like my grandparents, but there's a lot of folks right now, right now, that they don't have electricity, they don't have cell phone service, they don't have food, water, they don't have anything. And they are expecting the government to save them. And, I hear about this, and, again, a lot of people are like, you know what, I'm going to have just enough food for the next 2 days. Or I'm going to have just enough supplies, medical supplies, and all that kind of stuff for the next 2 days. And then they get into a predicament, and you're like, you know what, we're inland. I'm in Tennessee. We're so far inland. Hurricanes don't hit us, right? And yet here we are. And so there's a lot of folks. There's a lot of death. A lot of fatalities that have happened with this storm. And just because you're not thinking about, well, doomsday and the apocalypse or whatever you want to call it, or some situation that's without the rule of law. This is a realistic kind of scenario. And there's a lot of folks that give those of us that want to prepare and be prepared for ourselves or for families a really hard time of being cynical or, unrealistic or something else or worse. And then this happens and they're like, you know what, where's the government? And then they, initially it goes from wanting to help people to shock. Like, man, we've just lost our home, or we've just lost something of value, and we don't have any water, we don't have any food, we don't have any medical supplies, we don't have anything. And where's the government? Then they get upset because the government is not coming to save them. And here's a reality. Here's just the hard truth: is that the government's not going to save you, and we need to prepare for our families and provide and protect for our families now. So when those things happen, that we're okay. And, especially the communications piece. I know personally of friends of mine that have family in Asheville and surrounding areas, North Carolina right now, and it's completely flooded, and they're not able to communicate at all with them. There's no cell phones service. The generators that back up those towers, they're finished. And so there's no way to communicate. And so if you're not thinking just about the basics for your family and yourself, then, that's just, I feel like, I don't want to say this, but for a lot of those people, I got to be careful with this, but a lot of folks, they would rather go spend $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 on entertainment and TVs. And then when something bad happens to their, they don't have cell phone service or something like that, and they're thinking, or clean water or whatever, and they're thinking, well, the government's not here. And I'm thinking, you could easily put that money, instead of entertainment, into something that's valuable and useful and can provide and really save your family. It's just a no-brainer to me. But here we are. And so I don't know. I've got mixed feelings on this. There's a little bit of that, I want to call it righteous indignation, where, on the one hand, I feel bad for people that are in these situations, of course, and we want to help however we can. But on the other hand, we try to tell people all the time, like, you got to have at least 2 weeks worth of supplies to take care of yourself. Do you have 2 weeks worth, at least, of water? How can you get clean water? There's all kinds of ways to get clean water. Whether you have a Berkey filtration system or life straws, or just something to get clean water. Can you start a fire? Do you have the Blackbeard fire kit, which we did a video on? Do you have medical supplies from My Medic? Do you have Augustin Farms or some other kind of brand food? And I'll drop links for all this stuff down below just to give you some help if you're just thinking about this for the first time maybe. But these are things you got to be thinking about. I learned my lesson back from Hurricane Katrina a long time ago. And there were people for days, even weeks, that were just in isolated, stranded kind of places and positions. The whole time they're getting angrier and angrier because the government is not saving them. And this is just, again, the hard truth, is that you have to be the one that steps up to protect your family, to provide for your family, and look ahead to what are the basic things that I'm going to need. I'm going to need shelter. I'm going to need food. I'm going to need water, and maybe communications and medical supplies, and maybe some other basic kind of resources like paracord, just other things. And I'll try to post a list on some of the stuff, my top stuff, soon. But man, I have this torn emotion right now. Feeling bad and sorry on the one hand, but then we're just Americans that are just wasting our life away on entertainment, and we're not actually thinking about how to protect and provide for our families when something like this happens. So anyway, I'm torn. But if you're thinking about this for the first time, or maybe you're like, yeah, I need to do that, and maybe like for the last 5 years you've been saying, yeah, I need to do something. I need to get some more food, shelf-stable food, or get some kind of way to filter clean water for my family. Well, today's the day. Go ahead and do that. And again, I'll drop some links for some stuff that I recommend down below. But anyway, I hope you guys are having a good day despite all of this, and we'll see you in the next video.